What's up, and welcome back to another episode of Where Sick Gets Real. I'm your host, Wes, and I have a special guest with me today. Sparsh is here to talk to you guys about the importance of a bond. Thanks for being here, Sparsh.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited to do this podcast and explain the importance of a bond and help owners get a better relationship with their dog.
Absolutely, man. All right, so we'll jump right into it. I've got a few questions here for you. I'm going to ask these questions, and I'm kind of just going to let you take the lead from there, all right?
Okay.
All right, man. So, first one we got. In your experience, how does a strong relationship make the training process easier or more successful?
So let's start off with saying what is a bond. What does it mean when you have a bond with a dog? It can mean a few things. There's a working bond, there's a loving bond, there's basically what it means is it's so your dog looks at you for leadership and does things for you, not because you made them do it, but because they want to do it for you. How it makes it easier is it's just like people. You're going to do things a lot easier if you love that person and respect that person than more if you're doing it out of fear or maybe a lack of training or maybe just because you don't want to do it but you're going to do it anyways. And it's the same thing for a dog. If you have a good balanced relationship and a bond with a dog, training is going to be way easier than if you didn't, because the dog's going to look at you for leadership and it's going to look at you because it loves you and it wants to do it because it wants to make you happy, and everything is going to be easier in training after that if a dog is doing it to make you happy.
Yeah, absolutely. So, the more forced it is, the less fun it is, right?
Yes.
So, we almost got to make it seem like it's their idea.
Yeah.
Right. All right, cool. Cool. You got anything else on that one, or are you ready
No,
for the next?
I think yeah, just to go over it in a short form, it makes it easier because the dog will just do it because it loves you
Yeah.
and because it wants to work for you.
Yep, 100%. All right, let's go to the next one. Can you share some simple daily activities that help owners strengthen their bond with their dog?
Yeah, so creating a good bond with your dog, it's not so much more like taking time out of your day to do this training session. It's how you raise and how you keep that dog in your family and what role it has in your family, right?
Mhm.
So some simple daily activities, it can be training and it can be playing, but it's got to be a balance of those two, right? So there's got to be a balance between structure, play, love, just like anything else in life. In dog training, there has to be a balance of play and then training. And when you have that balance, the dog has clarity in their mind that, oh, okay, I know my role in this family and I know what I see in you when I look at you as an owner. So it's when you go through a trainer and you say you're doing obedience and you're doing all the corrections correctly, you're doing everything the trainer told you to, and then after that training you go play 30 minutes of ball. If the dog likes ball or whatever your dog is interested in, there's got to be, it's just like kids, you got to have a balance between both of them and make the dog know, okay, this is your job and but you are loved too. It's basically having a good balance of doing different things throughout the day that your dog loves and also that you want your dog to do.
Yeah, no, I like it, man. That's very good information on that one. You ready to roll on to the next one?
Yep,
All right,
good.
let's go to the next one. So, the next one is, what are some signs that a dog and an owner have developed a really strong bond?
Yeah, I like this question because I use this example all the time. Here at Canine Justice, all of our trainers, all of us, we're all advocates for the e-collar. And the e-collar is a really good tool when used correctly, and um, and it's a tool that we love. You can use it for anything, but mainly like when you think of e-collar, it's off leash recall. It's a way to call your dog back and tell your dog, hey, I need you to come back. All of us have personal dogs, and none of them, we all use e-collars, but none of them were trained on an e-collar,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. So, like all the dogs we train them with e-collars, right? But our personal dogs, we've never used e-collars.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And all of our personal dogs with all our trainers are all great off leash. They were before we added an e-collar onto them, and they are after. Because as trainers, obviously, we got to be good trainers. We know how to create a bond with that dog. Like that's a perfect example. Is we're all trainers. We all advocate for e-collars. We use them all the time. But our personal dogs, they weren't trained on an e-collar, and they are all great off leash. None of them are worried about running away or something like that. It's because as trainers, we know how to create a bond with a dog when they're young. And when you have that bond, dogs, they come from wolves. They have pack drive. Naturally, dogs do not want to leave their family. And when you have dogs running away and it's problem, it's not because your dog doesn't love you or you're doing something wrong. You missed a step in the puppy stage where you didn't create a bond like you were supposed to. And bond doesn't mean sitting on the couch watching TV and loving and kissing on the dog. It's what I mentioned earlier. There was a mixture, a balance between training and play, because no matter the breed, we domesticated dogs for one reason. It was to work for us. And we have to remember that, because it's not natural for a dog to have complete freedom, like mentally or physically.
And it can actually become dangerous.
Exactly. It can become dangerous, and there's a lot of things that could go wrong. They were all domesticated to work for us. So when you give a dog structure and discipline, they look at you like, wow. It's in their genetics. It's like a big deep breath. That's like, okay, because we literally domesticated them that way. And now that like dogs are companions and pets, we forget that, and we give them a little bit too much freedom, and we lose that leadership respect bond. And that's where you have dogs running away and not listening when called. It's because they love you. They doesn't mean they don't love you, but it's more of like, okay, it's not a pack. There's no leader. There's no hierarchy. There's no nothing like that. So
that's why I tell people, Sparsh, that, and hopefully I get it across the proper way, but there's a difference in a, oh, I love you loving bond and a
Yes.
difference in a training bond, right?
Yes.
And that's what I seen with Justice when we got started. That's what I told you and I told everybody, is I seen that. I seen the switch, and I've never, ever, ever throughout my years had a dog that I had that kind of bond with.
Yeah.
Like, of course, I loved all
and
my
it was
dogs.
your first working dog.
Yes,
And that's
absolutely.
why.
That's
because
right.
you treated him
That's right.
like a working dog.
Yep, that's a very good point. Very good point, man.
And that's what we try to show these clients is, I mean, they don't have to have a working dog, but when you make a dog work, they look at you differently in a good way. And people think, I don't want to use these tools because my dog's going to be scared of me. No, your dog's going to love you more because it's in their genetics to follow you and have structure.
I agree, and without it, they're kind of just out here doing what they think's the right thing, and it's usually in a human world never the right thing, right?
Yeah.
So no, you're absolutely right on that. Good point, man.
Yeah, and to give an example, this is funny, but like if you see my girlfriend Jordan walk downtown with my two shepherds, you're gonna be like, oh my god, that girl needs some dog training. And I can walk downtown with my two shepherds off leash, completely in a heel, put them in a down. It's because she has a loving bond,
Yep.
right?
That's right.
And she didn't. I did all the training. I did all the working bond.
Yep.
So
The leadership is there.
exactly. The
Yeah.
leadership is there. They get more hugs and kisses from her every day. That's for sure.
Yep.
But they get it from me too. It's just that there's a balance.
There's a balance. That's right.
but
There's a nurturing balance and a leadership balance.
exactly.
Yep.
And that was just to give an example of like how a dog minds work. And it's not when we're talking about bond in this podcast or even anywhere else. It's not like, oh, I'm gonna make this dog love me. It's what does this dog need to look at me in a way that they understand.
Yeah. So kind of like in relationships, if we're fulfilling the other person's needs, they tend to be a little more happier.
Yes.
Same thing with a dog. We got to fulfill that dog's needs.
Yes.
And each breed specific has their own needs, as well as each individual dog. But you have to find that. You have to know what that is. Now,
Yeah.
a certain breed across the board, they do have what we call breed fulfillment, and it is our job to figure that out and,
Yeah.
and fulfill that. Without that, again, we'll go back to everything's balanced. Right?
Yeah, and that's where doing your research on breeders before you get a dog and the type of breed, because all dogs think the same, but all dogs have different characteristics.
Yeah, there you go.
So like a German Shepherd, a working line Shepherd, if you want to create a good bond, it likes biting things, it likes chasing things. So I'm gonna give it love, and then I'm gonna go do some bite work or something like that. Whereas like a high drive Labrador, I'm not gonna go do bite work. I'm gonna go turn it into a bird dog. That's what it means to do your research, is to create a bond with each breed. It's going to take different things.
Yeah. All right, let's move to the next question. So, can you tell us a story of a dog you worked with where the bond made a big difference in their training journey?
Yes, I got a pretty good story. This is when I first started training dogs professionally, and this lady gave me a call, and she said, I have this big German Shepherd, lives in a house of 8 people.
Oh, this is a good story.
And this dog has bitten 2 people. It bit the mom that lives in the house, the older mother, and it bit the neighbor. And so she said he's very reactive, and it's turning into more powerful aggression, because this dog at this point of the story is a year old.
Wow.
So that's when they start to get physically mature, mentally mature, and fearful reactivity turns into, especially if it's a strong breed, it turns into powerful forward aggression. It
Sure.
can. It's not all the time, but depending on the breed and confidence of the dog.
Yep. And
That's
like in our previous episode, we said anything left unchecked
yeah.
gets worse.
Yeah, exactly. And so I did a 4 week board and train with this dog, and 3 weeks in, I'm like, this dog has changed. At this point, I'm bringing this dog into my parents' house. It's climbing on the lap of my mom. It's meeting people that he has never met before and having a clear mind. So I'm like, okay, this is awesome. And how I got to that point is, again, start off with obedience. It's a part of dog training. That's where kind of the leadership comes in. Yeah, like she didn't come to me because she wanted the dog to have a perfect sit or a down, but when I hold that dog accountable for those positions, that's when the dog is like, it flips a switch. So that's where I created a bond with the dog that he had never had in his 1 year of life, which was he was told to do something and then he got a fair correction. And as a German Shepherd, he loved that. I mean,
Yep.
those dogs are not dogs that you just go and leave and not work,
That's
because
right.
what will happen is what happened. They will get confused and they will bite people. And he saw leadership in me, and he made a complete 360.
Yeah.
He didn't care about people. All he cared about is what I was gonna say and what I was gonna tell him to do. And he wasn't reacting. And so she came to pick him up, and they did great in their go home session. We went out in public. We went on a bike path where there's a bunch of people. He didn't react at all. And at this point, this dog is trained on a prong collar and e-collar. About 2 weeks later, I get a phone call crying, and she's like, "I have to put him down today." Or ask her why, and she said, "Got he got out of the house and he bit the mailman, and the mailman's gonna report that." And she had gone to, so this is the German Shepherd Rescue of New England area.
Yeah.
This is like, so what I'm about to talk about.
It's a big deal.
Yeah, she went to the German Shepherd Rescue of New England. So it's a big rescue of New England. New England is like 6 or 7 states, and they had their own in-home trainer there. She showed me a video of him. He's agitating this dog like he's doing protection work to react. Therefore, the dog reacts and then tells her that this dog cannot be fixed and needs to be put down. So first, like, this dog has a bite history and is reactive. You don't need to agitate him, right? And agitating is like you're grabbing a stick, you're making noises. It's different than if a dog came in for an eval saying it's reactive and I just walk past it normally. That's testing the dog.
Yeah.
What he was doing was agitating the dog, forcing a behavior out of him, and then telling her that she needs to put him down that day. And I said no, because like I love that dog.
Yeah.
Like that was like, I'm a shepherd guy, and like the change I saw in that dog, I was like, there's no way.
Yeah, you've seen what's there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's the potential was through the roof. Like it wasn't even like this was a managing case where some reactivity cases are.
Right.
This was like this dog made a total 360 and just made a complete change, and I saw it when he was with me. The problem is there was no bond. There was no leadership.
That's right.
She was like they were a couple. The girlfriend was taking time out of her lunchtime to go to the house of 8 people to take this dog out.
When there was other people there.
Yeah, and she
Yeah.
doesn't live there.
Uh.
She don't live there. She lives in our own apartment.
So I want to stop you right there because I
Yeah.
want to touch on. I hope you guys who have listened to our previous episodes are realizing how important structure and what kind of role structure and consistency plays in this dog realm. So just keep that in mind as you listen through our episodes. You're going to hear us talk about this a lot. That should be your key point. That's what most people are missing. Anyway, continue on, Sparsh.
Yeah, so she's taking time out of her day, out of her work, to come to a house with 8 people to walk this dog. So that tells us the relationship that that dog has in that house.
Mhm.
There is none. That dog is just sitting there, right? Nobody takes it out, and it's not because they're scared of it. Like he's all friendly with all of them, except I guess the mom or something. But it's just nobody cared about this dog. And this German Shepherd is not a breed that you just don't care about. They will figure out something to do because
Yep.
they're a working dog.
Absolutely.
And I got her back. I said I got him back, and I said give him to me for 3 weeks, and in the meantime, I was honest with her, because as a trainer, I wouldn't be doing my job if I wasn't being honest. And I told her, this is not a good fit. You have to find him a new home.
Yeah.
and I'm gonna put more training into him, and also look for a new home.
Mhm.
And they talked, and then they agreed because he was gonna end up getting put down either way if she didn't put him down that day or not. He was gonna end up biting somebody because he was sitting there. There was no leadership.
Well,
There
he's
was
done
no
it before,
relationship. Yeah,
you
like
know?
yeah, and a dog that's done something before is gonna do it again, whether it's running away or biting somebody. And it was crazy to me because this dog was perfect with me. Like this dog did not care about nobody with me,
Yeah.
and it was because there was dogs, they get confused. Like working dogs, they get confused when there's no leadership, when there's no structure. And I did some more training 3 weeks. At the end of 3 weeks, we found a single guy. He had a female shepherd and a cat. And I was worried. I was like, I've never seen this. This dog has pretty high prey drive.
Yeah.
I've never worked with this dog around a cat. So we meet up with this guy just to do a meeting to see how it goes. I show him how to handle the dog. So I take the dog first because he's used to not reacting to people with me, and he has that bond that we're talking about that I
Mhm.
put into him because when he's with me, that's all he knows. It's like I take him out, I feed him, I correct him when he does something wrong, I reward him, I play ball with him. I showed him that I love him, and there's also a structure. And so we meet with this guy. The meeting goes good, and he brings his younger shepherd or female shepherd, and she's a pretty playful, not dominant shepherd, so it goes well. They're playing, and I show him everything: how to use the e-collar, how to use the prong collar, and why. Not just like the physical training stuff, but like why he is the way he is about with the situation that he was and
Mhm.
what he needs for this to be successful. And I was a little hesitant at first because he needed a strong handler, and this guy was kind of he's a little soft.
Yeah.
Um, but um, we wanted to make it work and try, and everything checked the boxes
Nice.
when we met him. And when he decided to take him, and I get a 2 week update. So this is 2 weeks after he goes home with this guy.
Well, 2 weeks is a good sign.
Yeah, yeah. You don't want to update a day after. Usually
No.
it's something not good.
No.
but but this guy works in office by the water selling it's like boat supplies or something like that. And he sends me a picture of him in the office and says, "I take him to work with me every day." And
Wonderful.
people come in and out, and he has never growled, he has never shown any sort of aggression. He's great with my cat, he's great with my other dog.
Mm.
And even me, like I would have never guessed that this dog that bit the mailman, bit the mother that was living in the same house as this dog, and bit the neighbor, is going to be sitting in a public office where people come in and out buying stuff. He sees people that he doesn't know, that he's never seen every day. And it's because this guy took my advice and took my training and gave this dog what it needs. And this
Mhm.
dog is telling you like what it needs, and he gave it to him,
Right.
and he made a complete switch.
Yeah.
Like even I was surprised. Like I never even thought in 2 weeks it would get to that point. I never thought in his whole life he'd be able to even be a friendly dog. Maybe a dog that doesn't bite people, but doesn't like people coming up to him. But no, this dog was just all he wanted was a leader. That's all he wanted, and that's my story of like he had no bond with nobody except for the girlfriend. But she was an anxious mess,
Mhm.
rightfully so,
Mhm.
right? She's not a dog trainer. She has
Yeah.
this big, powerful breed that's biting everyone. So every time she has the leash, she's like borderline in tears
Yeah.
of nervousness.
It's intimidating.
She had bad anxiety, and if you know anything about shepherds, bad anxiety and shepherds do not mix.
Not at
They're
all.
very emotional animals, so they take it and eat at it, and it was amazing.
That's a great story.
It was
That's awesome.
crazy the change that, and it was all because of the bond and the
Yeah.
training.
Yeah.
That's all he needed.
And if I'm not mistaken, correct me if I'm wrong here, Sparse, but the guy in that story you were talking about, the guy that was agitating with the stick, is there not a video on YouTube of that
There's a video
situation?
somewhere. If
Yeah.
it's not in my phone, or if it's not out on public, I know it's in my phone somewhere.
Yeah. I remember
But
seeing this. I guess it was probably about a year and a half ago or so. You had actually shared this story with me. And that's the cool thing is, you know, people can share stories all day long, but the proof is there. I mean, I've
yeah,
seen the videos.
yeah.
So great work on your behalf and the new owner of the dog, and great work on that girlfriend for kind of
Yeah,
stepping
yeah.
it. I mean,
I was very very proud of her because that was a lot for her. First of all, I mean it's their dog. It's the boyfriend and the girlfriend's dog, but it's living in the boyfriend's family, and
yeah.
it was a complete mess. And she could have easily gotten rid of the dog, put him down, but she took my training and she understood it, but she also understood that this is not just her and the dog.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
that's why she couldn't keep it, and I was very proud of her for making that decision because rehoming dogs is not always a bad thing.
Oh,
The
it's not.
reason of it can be, but like it's sometimes you need to fit the dog with your lifestyle.
Yeah, absolutely.
And at
Absolutely.
that point, they didn't have a place of their own yet, and they wasn't planning on it anytime soon.
Mhm.
And so it was a ticking time bomb waiting to happen.
Mhm.
Even if she did the perfect training, because that dog doesn't live with her,
That's right. Yeah.
and the people that he lived with are not going to continue that training. So
No.
he was going to end up biting somebody
That's
more.
right.
Yeah.
And then it'd be put down. So yes, as hard as it is to have to rehome a dog or even think about rehoming a dog, obviously you look at training first, and maybe that trainer can kind of point you in the right direction as a whole, as a human, right? Because
Yeah.
sometimes it's human error. Most of
Yeah.
the time it's human error. So we guide them in the right direction, get them on the right path. They try those things out. They either have success with it or they don't, and we find out that that's just not the right dog for them.
Yeah.
And then what happens is their emotion steps in and they feel bad, or they're afraid of what somebody's going to think about them, or oh, they failed that dog, or they did. No, you didn't. Actually, when you rehome that dog and it goes to the right person, you've actually helped that dog succeed.
Exactly.
So,
Now this dog is 10 times happier, living a great life than it was before. And it's not her fault, but she gave it that life.
that's
you know?
right.
Because
She
it was
gave it
her
that
dog.
opportunity.
She gave that dog that happy life because she made the decision to do that because she knew the situation he was in is not going to be good.
Yeah. No. No, that's awesome though. All right, let's roll into. Thanks for sharing that story, by the
Yeah.
way. Let's roll into the next question. What role does consistency play in strengthening the relationship between a dog and its owner?
Yeah, I mean, you can talk to any dog trainer. Consistency, I would say, is the most important word in dog training.
I've actually kind of gravitated more with the consistency term through my day-to-day life in
Yeah.
general. That's with anything. If
Yeah.
you're not consistent at it, you're not gonna be successful at it, or obviously not being successful is failure, so you're gonna fail at it. Consistency, man. If you want to go on a diet, be consistent.
Yeah.
You want to work out, be consistent.
Yeah.
If you want results, be consistent in everything that you do. Anyway, there's that word again, consistency,
Yeah,
right?
I mean it's by far the most important word for you to understand if you're trying to learn dog training or train your dog is consistency. It's in life and it's in dog training. That's why a lot of people say, "Oh, I got a dog and it changed my life."
Mm-hmm.
They did change your life
Mm-hmm.
because a dog forces you to have consistency in your life.
Yeah.
And when you're even me, like when I got my first dog and then I got my second dog, I made better choices and habits in life because I learned consistency through my dogs
Mm-hmm.
because I wanted them to succeed, so I was consistent with them. And then I learned just in life, like if you're consistent with stuff, like things are gonna get better, things are gonna get good. So it plays a big role in strengthening the relationship between the dog and its owner because if you're training your dog and you're playing with your dog, you're doing all the things you should to create a good bond, and you have another person in your household do the opposite. So say if your dog is trained on a prong collar to walk on a leash, and that dog does not get walked on a prong collar by the other household member, that dog is going to get confused, and when it gets confused, it stops listening in general. So what happens is it got trained to walk nicely, but now there's inconsistency in training, and the dog's gonna go, screw that. I'm just not gonna do it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why it's super important because dogs are very simple animals. It's like their minds are very black and white. Like if you do something the same way every time, they're going to do that.
That's right.
And they're very smart. If you're inconsistent about it, they can see that and they will go around it.
Mm-hmm.
That's like to give an example. When I was in Massachusetts, I didn't have a fenced-in yard. I had two shepherds. They never left the yard. Um, and one time, my dog Luca wandered away, and it was done after that.
Yep.
Both of them
Yep.
would just go run.
Yep.
And this is like a year and a half of them just being good and staying in the yard.
Oh yeah.
It's because like they found out one time that inconsistency of the yard, and they're like, okay, I'm gonna go.
That's
It's the
right.
same thing in training. Like it doesn't matter if you bring your dog home from a board and train and you were consistent for 3 weeks, and then one day you do something that you have never done before you drop that dog off. That dog's gonna be like, oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why it's very important because dogs are just like that. They're opportunistic animals.
Yeah.
They're survival animals. They're going to take what you give them, even if like you were consistent for a super long time. So that's why it's very important because they're opportunistic animals, and if you maybe you don't think it, but they will catch it, and
Hmm.
it will affect their training.
They will catch you lacking and take
Yeah.
advantage of you. And just like you said, man, once they do it once, it's that much easier. They'll find that loophole.
Yeah.
So good stuff, man. All right. Next question. How does a dog's breed or background influence the way you build a bond with them?
Yeah, so I kind of went into it earlier. How does a dog's breed or background influence the way you build a bond with them? It influences in a big way because, like I said, to create a good bond, there needs to be a balance of play and training and structure. And different dogs enjoys different types of play. So if you have a dog that doesn't like the ball and loves treats, will like jump off a bridge for a treat. After you do training, you're not gonna go throw a ball with that dog, right? That dog's not gonna enjoy it. What you can do is you can go grab a bunch of treats and throw it in the yard. And then now they're sniffing and they're getting mentally stimulated and doing stuff like that. Do the research on the breed before you get the dog. So like if you get a bird dog, a retriever, or like a lab or a golden retriever, they like chasing things. You don't. It doesn't mean you have to do bird hunting. It just means you have to do something similar to that matches their drive. And so like for like the earlier example, like for the German Shepherd, working line Shepherd, I'm gonna go do bite work because it's fun for him, right? It's fun for him, and it gets his mental stimulation going, and it trying to think of the word. It completes his genetics. It's satisfying. That's the word
That's
I was
right.
saying. It satisfies his genetics that he has, and so like if you had a lab, you're not gonna go do bite work. It's not gonna satisfy his genetics. You're gonna go play ball or do something. So that's it. That's how it influences how you build a bond because you have to know what type of dog you have in front of you and what kind of genetics it has and what it enjoys to do.
Hmm.
And different types of breeds like to do different things.
That's right. So like if you took your collies or your healers or even shepherds, I mean these are herding dogs,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
you could do something as simple as getting one of those big, I think they're called jolly balls,
Yeah, those are
throw it out
great.
in the yard and let them herd this ball around, right? You get it big enough to where they can't really fit it in their mouth and tote it around.
Yeah.
Now all they can do is kind of push it around, move it
Yeah.
to where they want it.
Yeah.
So like you said, different things to fulfill that dog's
And
need.
that's like, yeah, that example he just gave, like that's physically straining. It's giving the dog exercise, but it's to a shepherd or a collie, it's giving a dog exercise and mental stimulation
Hmm.
because it's not just playing with a ball; it's hurting that ball.
That's right.
It's satisfying its genetics.
So it's the mental and physical stimulation.
Yeah.
That's what you're looking for.
Yes.
Gotcha. All right. Next one is going to be have you ever encountered a situation where a strong bond actually helped resolve behavioral issues more quickly? And I'm going to touch on this real quick.
Yeah.
I think you actually kind of gave that example when you were talking about your story.
Yeah,
Because
I
it's
mean
similar.
that's definitely the perfect example for this question. I think another example that will fit this question is both of us have done it together and we've done it on our own clients,
Hmm.
but where we've had the dog, we've done gave that dog the exact training it needs and that dog is not giving us the results that we want and we go, you try the training. You give
Hmm.
it back to the owner. And we coach the owner in the new training that we did on this dog and this dog does 100 times better.
Yeah.
So that's like a different form of bond where like this dog has a good bond with this owner. This owner did a good job, but lacked on the training techniques. So this dog had a good bond. That's why like when we had the dog in hand, this dog is not doing anything. But you see in its eyes, it's not because it's being bad or it's stubborn. It's because it wants to be with the owner. So sometimes we got to take a step back, be like, nope, this is a coaching type of
Right.
lesson. This
That's
is
right.
where you have to have the dog and you got to learn because this dog is bonded to you. It's just your training techniques are a little off. So
Hmm.
now it's not I can't train this dog for you. This I can coach you.
That's right.
So I think that's another example of like where we've been in a one-on-one or maybe like a board and train and this dog it's learning but like we're not getting the progress we want and then we give it back to the owner and teach the owner how to do it and then the dog's like yes I understand it.
Yeah. That's right. That's right. It's a team effort.
Yes.
All right, we got one more question here, and it's going to be: are there any common mistakes people make that might unintentionally weaken the bond with their dog? So, what's something that you might see a client or a dog owner do unintentionally that weakens that bond or kind of hinders that bond?
Yeah, unintentionally. Well, dogs are physical animals. Like people see that, and so maybe if you pop a dog with like a slipper or something, obviously like you're not trying to hurt the dog. Yes, it's a physical correction which dogs understand, but it's not a natural physical correction that a dog understands. What I
That's right.
mean by that is in the wild, the mom is not grabbing a slipper and smacking the puppy,
That's
right?
right.
It's
Yeah.
it's it's correcting the puppy with the teeth. Like that, you correcting a dog with your teeth is more natural than you hitting a dog with your slipper, right?
Yeah.
Because a dog doesn't know what a slipper. It's not a natural thing. You have to go back to the basics and where they came from
Hmm.
and the genetics. So it's stuff like that, and also it's just miseducation. Like some people just don't know, right? We get a lot of fearful dogs, a lot of them, where the dogs are scared of the world. They're scared of a pen dropping on the table. They're shaking. Naturally, say if a human, a family member, came back from rehab and whatever, you want to coddle them, you want to make them feel safe, and you want to kind of comfort them until they're back on their feet. And people humanize dogs a little bit and forget that dogs don't think the same.
Yeah.
So you get a dog from a shelter, afraid of the world, maybe was abused, and they do the same thing they would do to people.
Yep.
And it's just not the right way.
You're
Which
hindering
it
the
makes
process.
sense, right? You're not a bad person for doing it because nobody taught you that.
It makes sense human to human.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But we're doing human to dog, and people
Yeah.
forget that. It's like really, it's the shelter's fault because I feel like every shelter should have a training advisor or a some sort of adoption advisor
Yeah.
matching a dog with the right person.
Bad idea.
It should be a requirement because their whole point of a shelter is to rehome dogs. But if you home them with the wrong people, then they're either gonna die, run away, or get rehomed again and
Or
end up
back at the
at the shelter.
yeah.
So yeah, so where I was going with that was um, the dog, a dog that is fearful and is scared of the world does it needs the opposite. It needs more discipline and structure. That's why when we don't take a lot of fearful dogs in boarding trains, but when we do and we think it's the right fit, they get the same training as your happy-go-lucky lab that is a confident lab that is jumping on the table. They get the same training, but they come out happy. They take a deep breath and they're like, "Oh my god, okay, this is what I needed." Because again, going back to genetics, they were meant to follow us and look for leadership.
Mhm.
So with a person, yes, that's true. That's how you should treat someone that's gone through a lot of things or was just recently abused or something like that. On dogs, people have to remember their minds work differently. When you do that, you're enabling that behavior. They're looking at you as, oh, okay, I'm shaking, you're petting me, this is what I'm supposed to be doing.
Mhm.
This is what I'm going to do. So, that, going back to the question, yeah, so that's a common mistake that I see in a lot of people with fearful dogs is I mean, it's again, you're not a bad person. Nobody told you the right thing to do. That's why you're coming to training. Is that they baby these fearful dogs, and it's actually making them worse.
Yeah. So
When
that's
what they needed is
unintentionally
structure.
weakening the bond.
Exactly. Yeah,
Right.
it's weakening the bond, and you're not creating a bond.
Yeah.
There is no because a bond means a dog follows you.
Yeah.
A dog follows you and wants to do what you want them to do for
It's
your
kind of like
happiness.
pack leadership.
Yeah,
They're
exactly.
they're looking for that leader, especially when you don't have a confident dog.
Yeah, yeah, especially when it's
An
fearful.
overly confident dog isn't going to look to you for that.
Exactly, especially when it's fearful, you need to be more of a leader. You need to hold that dog accountable and push him through things and give it structure. And then prom- promise you that dog is going to be a totally different dog when it goes through training and it
Yeah.
gets the right structure. That's the biggest mistake I see is when people get fearful dogs because obviously, I mean, human nature. You see a sad, shaking puppy, you want to pick it up and cradle it, and which is fine. That dog needs love, but it needs a balance of structure and training, and then you'll see that dog open up into a personality that you've never seen that dog in that state of mind before.
And I like what you said on that question, and I'll read the question one more time. Common mistakes people make that might unintentionally weaken the bond with their dog. You said exactly pretty much what I would have said. Not having clear communication whenever you make a correction. Or let's say the dog, peed in the floor and you were watching TV or hanging out in your room and your dog's running around freely. It pees in the floor and you come back in and you see it. And you're like, oh, all right.
Oh yeah,
And you pop this dog,
yeah,
right? The dog's kind of looking at you like, "Oh crap, what's going on?" And you're like, "Yeah, I know. You know what you did."
yeah.
And then you pop the dog. Well, that's been a habit that's happened, the dog has no clue what you're popping it
No
for.
idea.
So it has to be clear and intentional on
Yeah.
what you're doing.
Got the timing's got to be perfect.
Yes.
It's got to be clear. It's got to be intentional. That dog has, and it's like, oh no, my dog knows. Like he has a dirty look.
Yeah.
Like
No,
he
he just
knows
knows you're being weird.
exactly.
What happened?
He's just reacting to your present emotion,
Mm-hmm.
right? So that yeah, that's a great point. That's another very common mistake is not understanding the dog and how they think. Like my dog Sonny, like I could go up to him and go, "Hey Sonny, you're the worst dog ever," and he's gonna wag his tail. He doesn't
Mm-hmm.
know what you're saying. He's the dogs that read off tone and emotion and body language, right? And so that like the puppy peeing on the floor, like unless you catch that dog in the act, like it's too late.
Yeah.
It's too late. The dog's not gonna have no idea why you're correcting that dog, and now it's gonna be could have some sort of fearful behavior because he is totally confused on why he's getting popped in the butt.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. That can hinder things. All right. You got anything else on that subject? Anything you want to end on?
I think I just want to. I think having a good bond with your dog is the most important thing you can do, and it's just having a balance of structure and play. It's the most beautiful thing you can experience with a dog. Like he said, he did it with his late dog Justice. I have it with my working dog. Anybody with a working dog or a dog that you've had a good bond with, like they'll never forget. And people need to understand that there's a certain way to do it, and once you do it, it's the best thing you can do for your dog, and your dog will look at you like no other dog has before.
Yeah, you'll be ready to do it over and over again with every dog
Yes,
you
hundred
touch.
percent.
Now I figured that out through Justice with my Dutch Shepherd Leia. Our bond is undeniable and incredible. I believe. Maybe I'm just biased, but I will say that it's been that way since the day I put her in my vehicle and brought her home.
Yeah,
I knew right away it was clarity, structure, leadership, and then training,
yeah, and
like
because of
obedience.
that, there's so many benefits. You can
Yes.
go enjoy a hike with your dog
Hmm.
off leash.
Yep.
You don't have to worry about your dog running away. You don't have to worry about your dog chewing things up because you gave it that structure, you gave it that discipline. There's so many benefits to it, other
Absolutely.
than obvious your dog just loves you as much as it can
Hmm.
with that bond. But there's so many benefits. You don't have to pay for training if you know how to truly create a good bond. So I agree.
Absolutely. All right, guys. So we're going to end it on that note. We appreciate you tuning back in to another episode of Where Sick Gets Real. This episode, again, was about the importance of a bond, and I think Sparsh did a great job answering these questions and delivering you guys some information on it. I appreciate that, Sparsh.
Yeah, thank you for having me. This was fun.
Absolutely, man. We'll do more for sure. I'm sure the listeners will enjoy it as well. Guys, we promise to try to keep giving you as much education as we possibly can. We appreciate you checking in with us and stay tuned for the next episode.